Evening and thank you to all the board members of the Hindu group for having me here today. But first let me again congratulate the award winners today. Your stories are remarkable, very inspirational, and I can see a slant that the Changemakers are focused only largely on agriculture and also on environment-related matters, areas where actually we want a lot of disruption. And it's very satisfying to know that disruptions are happening in those very areas where we need change and remarkable changes. And these are changes which are going to make, for the next couple of years, a change in the mindset of people who are actually the stakeholders in that area. So changing the minds of the farmers, changing the minds of households, changing the way we treat our waste, and looking at policies which will have a bearing on every one of these areas. So the awards are only a first step. They highlight how there are solutions available, and those solutions are the ones which have to be, those and similar such solutions are the ones which will have to be absolutely encouraged, given more assistance, so that that becomes commonplace. We need to rapidly and in a very ferocious pace change our mindset towards how we live, how we treat our environment, how we want agriculture products to be less harmful to us. Decades of using pesticides are showing in our health. So I'm really happy that the Hindu BusinessLine has looked at change makers of areas such as this, and the jury has actually made a good selection of change makers, and giving them the award humbles me that we have people around us who have just done so remarkable work, although have not made much of a noise. And today I think they deserve all the commiserations, appreciation that we are willing to do as we sit in this audience. But of course we have to take this cause further, and I would appeal to the BusinessLine management to ensure that these people and their work are also covered adequately in the kind of reporting that you do. But otherwise, there's, I'm not sure today is the occasion for me to talk about the economy. You've heard it. BusinessLine writes a lot about it. But I will want to say one thing about BusinessLine. Call it as a habit of a spokesperson who's been trained for a political party. I make sure I spend a lot of time reading papers. And I don't miss out on papers in the sense I don't judge them because they are this way or that way in their political ideology or leanings, because newspapers are no longer, I would think, completely objective. They do have a slant. I'm not taking this occasion to blame as to why they take the slant, but they have their own little tinge of shades which get reflected. But BusinessLine is a paper which, for me, comes out with some of the best reporting on the economy, on agriculture, on futures, on commodity markets, and amazing coverage of issues. And I wish it has a lot more all-India readership. But the depth to which you go, and also the exhaustive reporting that you do, you stand out as one of those business papers, although which has not been there in the market for a very long time. You are at par with some of the best. India doesn't have very many newspapers which report exclusively on businesses. So actually that typical granular collection of data, writing up of stories, reporting on something, and then pursuing it further to see after the reportage, has there been any change? These are kind of consistency which newspapers should cultivate as a quality, because business news will have to have both the macroeconomic issues being dealt with, as well as the microeconomic issues, because unless we know how things develop in the ground, you're not just going to be able to make policies which are going to result in larger good for the country. So I do take this opportunity, and happily at that, to say BusinessLine and its reporting quality and the contents of the paper, the extent, the scope of the issues that you cover are all noteworthy, and I do derive a lot of information from it. I look forward to reading the paper every morning. But as it is, I think we are at a time when big changes, immense lot of changes are happening all around the world. I'm not here to say, we've become 5th largest, hey, so we've done it. But yes, I am going to say that because nearly a decade ago, we were in the 11th position. These are not rankings given by this government. So in the 11th position a decade ago, and in that 11th position, we kept seeing countries above us, remarkably the United Kingdom in the 5th position then. Today, within a matter of 10 years, India has moved from the 11th position to the 5th position. It is not a mean achievement. It's all our achievement. It's all our achievements. It is the people of India who should take credit for it. Yes, the government is there. It gives you a lot of policies. It removes hurdles. It facilitates. But the people of India, and in these 10 years, do not forget, we've had a pandemic where, like never before, we had to lock down the economy. We had to bring everything to a grinding halt. But after that, the speed with which we've recovered, are still recovering at a pace which entire world looks at with a sense of awe. And in that, the process of recovery, it happens in a very politically vibrant country. India is a very vibrant political environment. There are always questions about, is it K, is it we, is it U, is it L? What is this recovery like? I'm not here to criticize that, but the fact is the recovery still retains us as the fastest growing economy from among the large size economies. So these are not things which we can continuously deride. This is the achievement of the people of India. You like the government in power today or you don't. It doesn't matter. But by constantly underplaying the achievement of Indians, saying, oh, this is nothing. Oh, your inflation is at 6.9. It is not below 6. Yes, who doesn't know these realities? I think somewhere at a time when it is very critical for all of us to be positive and future-looking with a vision and encouraging each one of us, each other, to ensure that we don't lose the momentum. How many times in Free India's history have we not had opportunities to push ourselves forward in a much faster pace? And for whatever reason, I'm not here to blame anybody, but whatever reason, we just couldn't catch the bus. We cannot afford to do that this time. And especially when everything else is falling in place, our self-deriding attitude should not be so strong as to make the young Indian minds suspect about what is happening in this country. They are the ones who are contributing. All of us are contributing. And in our energy and enthusiasm to keep our democracy alive with our right to speak freely, yes, we should have the right to speak freely. It shouldn't go to the extent of becoming so cynical. Look at where we are today. Of course, 1991 happened. Who denies it? But the pace at which it should have happened was lost out. in 10 years. Now all that is being made up for, and we are moving fast in spite of a pandemic which has stranded us for a quarter, and after that recovery did take its own time. So I take this opportunity for all of us to give ourselves that moment of pause. Think about what we are doing to our country. Even if we don't serve it, at least don't disserve it. At least don't spread your toxicity. This is a time when all of us want to be positive. We want to engage. Look at the brilliant contribution these award-winning people have done. What hope in life they had when they started, saying, oh, it's going to be recognized. Hindu BusinessLine on that day, 9th September, is going to give me an award. Did they have that feeling? They just went about it. And they made a difference to the society. Now, are we just going to, from tomorrow, forget them and say, it's all right, nothing is happening in this country? Everything is happening. So I take this opportunity to not speak about just the achievement of the country. Yes, achievements are there for all of us to see. If you had 10.6 lakh crore worth of transactions in UPI, if you have an India stack, which is now the envy of the world, every bilateral that we talk about with our counterparts who come from different countries, that's the first thing. How did you manage? What is this digital achievement? And look at the scale of a digital achievement. You press a button in Delhi, in every part of the country, the beneficiary receives the money that instant. And I'm not comparing myself with anybody else, but the developed economies who are still writing checks and putting in the post boxes and waiting for them to be received by their beneficiaries. Please, please, let's all sit up. Stop the negativity. The achievements are not there for unnoticed, and we are crowing about it because it's our own achievement. It's in the face for everybody else. We should, I think, at this stage, please make sure that we contribute to the Indian economy, make sure that we're all able to, in our own, terrain, in our own areas, realize the value of the word of mouth. Newspapers are important, digital platforms are important, television is important, editorials are important, speeches are important. But the word of mouth is what is even more powerful. We should be confident of what is happening in India and speak about it to everybody. Hey, look, all of us did this. We've come out of this. And look at the achievement of Bharat Biotech. I singularly take that name. Today we have a nasal vaccine which has got the approval. I mean, tell me in any part of the world, they're still looking for syringes to give the vaccination. Here's a new model. We are patenting it. You're getting it. Purely Indian. So, I'm sure there are very many more such things happening in India. We are benefiting by it. Youngsters in India are desperately wanting to make that leap forward and not go in that incremental increases. I appeal to all of you. It's time for all of us to please sit up and be positive about India. Not just for the GDP growth, not just because our foreign exchange reserves are very high, not because we've done great lot of things about the digital platforms, co-wins and stacks. But there are several more which we need to pull out and talk about it. And that's where I take one example of what Prime Minister has done. Look at the Padma Awards. Look at the people who get the Padma Awards. And each one has done remarkable work in those corners of this country. They've received that recognition. It is that kind of all of us looking at the best which is happening around us, which we need to pull up and say, this is my India, these are the people who are contributing to India, and we are only going to move forward and forward at a good pace. No more of my emotional charging out. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish all of you all the very best.